morning, so I was ordered to go out to San Diego. That's when I was called up. We were sent to San Diego immediately. We got out there, and of course the Japanese weren't there, and we were ready to defend it and all. But the first year of the war was possible to bring Imogene and the family out to California. So they came out with Jacqueline and Mickey, who had been born while I was gone already. And she must have been 6 weeks old or something like that. And they came out to California, and I found a place. It was impossible to find a place, but it did, for us to stay. We stayed in a beautiful,
Almost impossible.
we stayed in a beautiful basement of a beautiful house. It was terrace basement on Mission Bay. And
That's
one of the most beautiful
Keith and
areas
I
in
were just there. That's, Mission Bay is right outside of
San
San Diego.
Diego.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful.
I bet that house is still there, unless they filled up the bay and built it.
No, it's still
How's it
pretty. There's a
going?
lot of, no, I bet it's still there. There's some more there.
Well, we moved into that basement. Let's call it the terrace basement, terrace.
The garden level,
Only
right.
it was very nice, except the rainy season did occur out there. When the rain came, that, the floor of our house was about that deep in water.
Oh, no.
Just flowing through.
Fun.
Flowing
You weren't
through.
worried about bringing your wife and children out there if the Japanese might come to San Diego?
Oh, we had already determined
They
couldn't
weren't
do
doing it.
And they went down to the Southeast Asia, and we were occupying them pretty well down
Okay.
there.
Alright.
So, it was just sitting there. That's the
Yeah.
worst kind of duty you can have.
You were there, he was there, I think, for a year before they came, weren't you?
Well, they were able to stay out there about 11 months,
No, but for how long were you in San Diego before they came?
just a couple of months,
Oh, that's all?
maybe 3.
They do pretty
The
quick, the Japanese
Japanese
work.
threat to the West Coast was short-lived in the
All right,
lines of
my
Washington.
mother came with them, and they came to San Diego.
Yeah.
We found this place to live, and Mama went home, left us there. And we did stay in a nice house that I was talking about for several months. And then Imogene got erythema nodosum, I can always remember that one, which is kind of a heart ailment, and ankles swelled up and all that stuff. So I had to get emergency leave to come home. And we came home on the train, which is one of the most wonderful trips we ever made in our life. Because we didn't, the dining car on the train, we couldn't get to it, and they didn't have food anyhow. And so we had baby food from Mary Martha, and we had plenty of that. So it's a 3-day trip, 3 days and 3 nights, by rail in those days. Had a miserable trip, but, we ate. It wasn't so miserable at that. Of course, we were gonna be partying, because I had to immediately come back to San Diego. And while I was coming to San Diego, my orders were changed, and when I got back, the outfit was getting ready to be moved. And so I missed that, but the point about on that trip home, I remember one time Jacqueline and I had an upper berth, and over on the other side, we had Imogene and Mickey was in the lower berth. But I can remember getting in that upper berth up there, and there was a great big old rat came up there.
Oof.
And the same train, on the train.
Oh.
And that was quite a surprise.
Did you hit your head?
Oh, I kicked him out.
Down on mother.
Oh, man.
Well, it was a good trip in some ways, but a miserable trip in other
Well,
ways.
that's the one where they told you couldn't get on, right?
Well, no, we got down to New Orleans, and we had made reservations, and we had reservations to go to Atlanta and all that stuff. But we had to make this shift over from the Southern Pacific to the Atlantic coastline, I believe it was, in that station, one station to another. They had 2 different, Southern Pacific came into this station, then you had to cross town to get to the other side. No railroad through to New Orleans, in other words. It still isn't, by the way, because of the way it's built and all. But we got over from one station to the other, this is Christmas Eve, if I remember right.
It was either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, yeah.
Christmas Eve, I believe. We got to this station, it was dark. I'd gotten a taxi, we had gotten a taxi to get us over. Here we got a sick wife, little baby. year and a half old, not even a year and a half old. Because she was only about 2 months old when she came out. So let's say a year and 2 months old. And Jacqueline. And we got to this station, and we're walking into the front of the station, big rotunda-like place. And here's a train over on the other side, and there's a mob of 1,000 people between me and the train. Nobody could get on the train. Well, I picked up the carriage and we had Mickey in, and mother and Jacqueline managed to follow behind me, and I was a big shot captain. I wasn't about to be bamboozled by any bunch of civilians. We forced our way up to that car, and here's this porter standing up on the track, so can't come on here. Something to that effect, said there's no room on this train. And about that time the conductor showed up behind him, and I said, I got reservations on this train, I'm getting on. And we put in, they stood aside, they didn't force me not to, got on there, and your mother took the 2 children into the ladies' little lounge in the Pullman there, that's where, and then we started talking to the conductor, and he said, well, I'm gonna find something. And he did, the train had even left and was on the way to Atlanta before he got us a berth. Again, it was an upper berth and a lower berth, and so we had to split up like that. And that may be when the rat showed up. I believe that's when the rat showed up.
Did you have your sidearm on by chance? Did you have a sidearm when you told that guy, I'm getting on this train? And was that anything to do with it? Or did he
We weren't doing that. But he could see out of my
He had that
steely.
look.
He could tell.
That's when I had steely eyes.
He looked right at me, so that's right.
I looked at that guy, he wasn't about to stop there.
You also had a baby carriage over your head too.
Yeah, I could
As
have
a
pulled a
weapon.
big carriage off. But I'm surprised that I could carry that baby across that mall,
Well, didn't you do
fighting with my
that?
hips, get through it and all that stuff.
Cause that was a real.
Some people are right
Yeah, those
respectful,
are the
they stand
metal-
aside,
Yeah.
let the man with the baby and the crippled wife get through it. And she was in bad shape too.
Guess Jacqueline must have been okay then.
Well, that was a rather pleasant trip from New Orleans to Atlanta,
Yeah.
because we knew when we got to Atlanta overnight, we knew when we got to Atlanta that there'd be people waiting in, and we'd be relieved of the burden of all the problems. And they were so glad to see us, and didn't even know you were sick, did they? But I could stay home a couple of weeks, and I was back in California. From there, we went to the desert and then to Germany.
Now, how quickly did you get over that long, littered sickness that you had?
She spent a couple of years recovering from it.
Really? Was it it's a virus?
Was this the liver thing?
Heart. What's it called? What was it called?
No, I wasn't erythema nodosum.
Yeah.
That?
Yes.
You knew it
Erythema.
already?
Like he doesn't need
It's a
soap.
heart problem. Apparently, it's supposed to stay with you, but she overcame it to a great degree. But she's still with us.
Yeah, good job, girl.